Welcome to Season 2, Episode 4 of the Film Bros Championship Podcast. I am Tim, and with me is my co-host, Patrick. How you doing, buddy?
Most importantly, the bitch is back. Man, I loved Alien 3. I really do. Like, spoilers. I love Alien 3. But,
Yeah.
I really missed the James Horner soundtrack. Like it's that thing is so iconic they had to bring it back for like every Alien trailer for like the next couple of years.
Yeah.
Like, we're just gonna keep on using this thing. It's so good. Like the ending final music where they're racing to escape.
This movie coasted in getting people hyped on that trailer and they
The teaser.
Yeah, they really led people astray because they made all of that stuff before they even had a finished script. Heck, they started making this movie and started production before they had a finished script.
Yeah. Yeah. Much to David Fincher's chagrin.
Yeah, there's so much cart before the horse type of stuff with this movie. I feel, and that's why I did a whole behind the scenes on the film as we know it podcast, because this movie is just fascinating. Not only do I actually and you defend the movie itself and enjoy it, but the backstory is also fascinating.
Yeah. Poor David Fincher will disowns this movie and says no good. He's wrong. This movie's good.
Yeah. He gives his blessing to the fan made or whatever edit.
Yeah, the guy who did the assembly cut did a bunch of which is available on the special edition.
Don't call it a director's cut. Just don't call it a director's cut.
No. It's the assembly cut / special edition. It was available in the Quadrology DVD box set. It was made by the guy who put together a bunch of the documentaries on this Quadrology thing.
Yeah.
And he's wrong.
Yeah.
It's not as good as his movie.
I heard it's 30 extra minutes of footage and it
37 extra minutes of footage. They removed 7 minutes of the footage from the movie that was theatrically released, and what you have is a movie that's not as good as the one that we all saw in 1992. Sorry, excuse me.
Okay, interesting. Because I heard it was supposed to be better. It's
lies, all lies.
The beginning half or whatever of the movie is supposed to be better or tighter or whatever, because there's
tighter is definitely not the thing I would call it.
I don't mean tighter. I guess that's not the right word. I meant just I guess more cohesive in its storytelling, I think. But that's just all what I heard. I haven't watched. You watched it?
I bought it.
Wow, okay.
To watch it on Amazon, $5. I'm like, yeah, sure. What the heck? I love the movie. Which hurt a little because the movie is always streaming on television. Our backstory: I bought that Quadrology, a Blu-ray box set back in the day.
Yeah.
On Amazon, and they sent me the wrong one. It didn't have the right region, so I couldn't play it on my PlayStation.
That's a bummer.
And I didn't realize this until 6 months or whatever after the fact, so I couldn't send it back. And
wow,
shit. So I just have this thing. So I never actually got to watch the Alien special edition until way later, and Alien 3 until just this past week. And anyway, yeah, I prefer the fast-paced cut of the theatrical edition by far.
Fair enough. Okay.
And I'll go through some of the major changes while we talk about this episode.
Yeah. Well, all right then, man. Let's get into this beautiful mess. And is your pick, so you get to go into it for us.
Okay. Well, we are third times around here in the Alien franchise.
We're cubed. Alien cubed.
For sure. Lieutenant Ripley is flying around in space. And unfortunately, an alien facehugger has stolen aboard, which causes the EEV to escape pod out the survivors of the last movie. Hopefully, Ripley survives, and she ends up on a prison planet, which is, of course, owned by the company. And so she is stuck on this prison planet, in this prison, with a bunch of dude inmates who are murderers and rapists and have no weapons of any kind to fight this alien, picking them off one by one.
Yes.
Good shit.
It's a good time. It really is a good time. It is. I mean, there's definitely some things I wish was better. It's definitely by no means a perfect movie. I will still take the first two over the third one.
100%.
Yeah.
Agreed.
But there's still a lot of fun to be had. And I think everybody who bashed this movie just needs to apologize, especially after Alien Resurrection.
Well, you'll have to dig up Roger Ebert and Gene Siskel.
Yeah.
They both gave the movie 2 thumbs down, which, to be fair, they gave like every horror movie 2 thumbs down.
Right.
They hated the stuff. But they said feeling it was repetitious, and they criticized the drawn-out chase scenes near the end, which, wrong.
It's like the best part.
Exactly. As well as the lack of suspenseful action, although they praised the art direction and Weaver's performance. Okay.
It is a gorgeous movie.
I agree.
Like,
it is.
It's amazing that they built so many sets before they had a finished script. They had to destroy sets to save money. It is fascinating how much got left on the floor. And yet at the same time, everything feels tactile and real, and it's shot amazingly well.
You can smell the rust while you're watching this movie.
That's a good way of putting it, yeah.
But yeah, in his review of Alien Resurrection, Ebert later wrote, "I lost interest in Alien 3 when I realized the aliens could at all times outrun and outleap the humans. So all the chase scenes were contrivances." He also would later state in his review of Fincher's Fight Club that he considered Alien 3 one of the best-looking bad movies I have ever seen. Roger, I love you. You're fucking wrong on this one.
I mean, it is a good-looking movie.
You were right about it being a good-looking movie. Yeah.
But yes.
No,
otherwise,
this movie rules.
You're wrong, yeah.
Yeah.
So, I guess we'll go with Hero.
Ripley!
Which is, it's interesting. Because she really, it's just an interesting choice that she's so okay with being ugged up, and you know what I mean, and she's kind of okay with it. I mean, she was like cool, I'm in, but you got to kill me off. Like that was like a preconditioned thing before going into these movies. Into the third one, which at first she was like, sure, I'll do a 3 and a 4 and film it back to back for you, but I gotta die. So she was clearly like, I'm ready to be out, but it's just fascinating to be like, yeah, shave my head. She did get paid like $40,000 just for shaving her head, but
well, I think the $40,000 was in the contract if she had to shave her head a second time for reshoots,
right? Which they did.
They didn't.
They didn't.
They pulled up like a bald cap instead for like certain
they had
reshoots.
To pay this guy like $16,000 or something like that to do this insane bald cap because it had to have short hair and it was such an intricate thing, and so they ended up having to do it like 3 times in total with him.
Oh, that's really funny.
It was like, you got to pay me that every time to do it. And so they thought they were good with the one time, and then they needed to do it a second time, and then they realized, oh no, we need to do promos and such. So they had to pay him like a third time. So it ended up costing them $48,000, something like that in total. So it ended up costing them more money for this freaking bald cap stuff than it was to just pay her $40,000 to do it again.
Yeah, $48,000, $16,000 times 3. That's really funny. That's awesome. I didn't know that.
You gotta love the stupidity sometimes in these studios.
Oh, Fox studio. It's not a surprise. This studio does not exist anymore.
Right?
Some of the dumbest motherfuckers who ever ran shit.
But what a cool intro too of the Fox, like da-na-na-na, and then it goes and like the music changes and gets you like, it's a nice, cool throughway.
I love the intro to this movie.
Yeah, it's fun.
It's like, okay, get ready because you're gonna be sad.
Yeah,
we're gonna kick you in the gut right away.
This is gonna be different than the second one.
You know those new characters you love from the last movie? They're all dead.
All dead.
They died horrific deaths.
Horrific. And you know is it Michael Biehn or Michael Biehn? I always get that messed up.
Bean.
Biehn got paid for this movie?
Yeah.
Which I think is fascinating because he was so pissed. Because in one version he was supposed to be the hero of 3 and 4 if they were to do it back to back. And like and then all of that got trashed, and then they were gonna kill him off, and he's like, no, you're like not using my likeness, like I refuse to be in this movie. And then there was like negotiations, and I feel like there was like a lawsuit or something, and then eventually he got paid to use the image shot of him on the computer screen. So that little image shot of him on the computer screen, he got paid for it. It's like, way to go, man.
Go get your money, son.
Yes,
go get
paid.
Speaking of, I love the images they use on those computer screens. Yeah. They look straight off of Sega Genesis or SNES.
I was thinking Metal Gear Solid.
Yeah, sure.
But yes.
But anyway, let's get into it. Yeah, our hero is once again Lieutenant Ellen Ripley, coming straight off her narrow escape in the last film. She is still allergic to bullshit, which is a character trait from the very first movie.
Yeah.
But at this point, she is extremely worn down from having to do this shit again.
Oh, yeah. She does not care. Because at one point, she is like completely naked, and she's like, do you want to get me clothes, or do I just go like this? Because I will.
Yeah, I was going to get into this later, but yeah, at this point in her...
getting that across. She really does not care, yeah.
No, I agree. But at this point in her character arc, she has nothing to fear from humans anymore. She's like, I don't care about you. I got bigger fish to fry.
Yeah. But yeah, and so she's... You when you do eventually get to her, she is badly beat up looking, disheveled. She's got this bloodshot eye going on, like she's been through hell.
In the special edition, the opening is completely different.
Oh, really?
They still crash land into the water like that, but the doctor is just taking a stroll out into this onto the surface, which apparently reaches 40 degrees below zero at times. Because a place where you want to hang out.
Sure.
And he just happens to run across her body on the beach, and yeah, and that's when he brings her, he picks her up and brings her in, which you can kind of see in the original full trailer.
Yeah,
those opening shots. And they spend a lot more time with her being like sad and grieving Newton Hicks in the opening like 20 minutes or so, which is unnecessary because we already get her being enough of that in the theatrical trailer. What I like about the theatrical version, what I like about the theatrical version too is that she's like, she immediately is like, we're in trouble. Uh-oh. Yeah. I gotta know. Which in the special edition, they spend way more time with her being sad.
And
they keep on underlining that sad.
They're also very much dead. So I feel like it's a really weird choice of her to be like, let's cut him up and make sure. It's like, how would it live?
I feel like this is exactly the way the Ripley from Aliens would be. Like, I gotta know right now. For her, the scene, Aliens just happened 5 minutes ago. So she's like, we gotta go. And I like that better.
But they're all so very much dead. Like, it's just like, it wouldn't have... it's just such a weird thing to me. Like, it didn't make any sense. The only thing that I liked of it was when she does like force Newt to get cut open. Mm-hmm. Like, that was a great scene. And
Sigourney Weaver's great in that.
Yeah, she's phenomenal in it, and you could really see the connection from two that is clearly here, and she is distraught that she is doing this.
That's my point, because scene. That's all there. Instead, we have an additional scene earlier on when she's in bed, and we get like another like 5 minutes of her being sad and everything else. I'm like, I don't need
that
this.
Scene. Kind of.
I have this already later on.
You're right,
and you're slowing things down.
It's interesting because apparently, her and Fincher didn't get off on the right foot. and there was like a scene where like she's on this table, and I guess there's like fake lice being put on her, and Fincher like sprinkled her and got in her eye, and she was like, "The hell's wrong with you?" But apparently it was that scene of like trying to get her through that scene and that emotion that we were talking about is where all of a sudden she's like, "You're good," and then became a defender of Fincher.
Yeah. Post this movie, his two biggest defenders were one of the producers who saw like Fox meddling was the big problem, and Sigourney Weaver, who's like defending him all the time throughout the critics. Like, no. This guy went through a lot of crap.
Yeah.
And she was clearly very, very right. It's a shame they haven't worked together again because I'd love to see it.
Yeah, it would be a fun reunion.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, definitely.
So like we were saying, Ripley wakes up.
Yep.
She's in the hospital wing of this prison, and she gets the bad news about everything that happened.
Right.
And
she makes an interesting choice to withhold information for a really freaking long time.
I think it's really fair.
Do you?
Well, considering the beginning of the second movie,
Yeah.
right? You have to go in with this knowledge.
Yeah.
And when she told everyone exactly what happened in the first movie, she lost her job and her career. It's just like she couldn't work on the ships anymore, and she had to go and find working on a dock or something like that. Everyone said she was crazy until same shit happened.
Right.
So I understand her, and so she says, like, you'll just think I'm crazy. It's no point in this.
She does say that. You're right.
Yeah.
But to a certain point, it becomes like, all right, I think it's time now. And like, she still doesn't. But I do like, and we'll talk more about sidekicks later, but I do like when the doctors eventually like now's the freaking time. And it's like, yeah, yeah, it is.
Right, but at the same time, he's withholding stuff from her, so she's like not in a charitable mood, which I completely understand. Again, which is why he eventually reveals his past, and he dies immediately afterwards.
Oh, immediately.
Yeah. So anyway, after the autopsy, which reveals that Newt died by drowning, which apparently there's in the novelization or a comic book or something like that, it's revealed that the facehugger first went inside Newt.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. And when they crash landed, that's when like whatever the larva or something like that popped out because she started drowning and went into Ripley instead, and that's why her throat is hurting throughout. But I could have sworn throat hurting was part of the issue in the first movie.
That's what I thought. Yeah, I didn't even think anything of it because I don't even remember it being. I don't know, but I what I do remember is like you don't get a visual shot really at all. You see kind of almost like an impaling for Bean's character. Hicks. But you get more of a visualization of Newt, and it is not a good look. Like, it looked like a really horrific way to die, which is an interesting, quick choice to make for this poor little girl. Like, oh yeah, she died in a messed up way.
Yeah, it sounds from the novelization comic book it's a lot worse. Like, she was awake and everything, and it's like,
oh man.
Anyway, so once she's satisfied that there's no aliens inside Hicks or Newt, and Hicks, of course, got impaled, so she's not actually interested. Yeah.
Although she still disposes of both bodies. They both get thrown in.
Yeah, just in case.
Just in case.
It's the only way to be sure.
I don't understand that. It's just a weird choice to me.
Only way to be sure.
They're dead. They've been dead. There's nothing to incubate. It doesn't make sense.
Nuke the site from orbit. It's the only way to be sure.
Okay.
So they're gonna throw these guys into the Newt and Hicks into the furnace, and one of the inmates, Dylan, gives a eulogy that she really enjoys, which is I'll get into later, which I really love because anyway.
Yeah.
Later on, Ripley decides to come over to Dylan, who gave the eulogy, and she's like really thankful. And this is what I was going to say earlier too. Dylan responds with her thanks by saying, "You don't want to know me, lady. I'm a murderer and rapist of women." And Ripley responds with, "Really? Well, I guess I make you nervous." And she just sits down and eats in front of him. And it's such a departure from Ripley in 1 and 2, where she's like, I'm all out of fucks to give.
At first, I was upset that you were sharing that line from Dylan, but I understand you're doing it in a
I know
way. But okay, fair enough.
I thought about that too, where to put it. I gave it to Ripley because this is just, I love it. I love that.
I get it, I understand it, but I think the character of Dylan there was so much better in that moment. But because he's got such a way of delivering things. But we'll talk about it.
Later. No, I love Charles S. Dutton. I'm not sure when Ripley developed the skills to hotwire an android.
Yeah. I don't know. She's had a lot of different jobs, I guess. I'm not quite sure, but because it's, these guys are like, this thing's cooked. And she's just like, boop, boop, boop.
I mean, like in the first movie, she doesn't know that Ian Holm is an android.
Yep, true.
In the second movie, she doesn't want to go anywhere near an android.
Right. It takes a while in that movie for her to trust him.
To Bishop, yeah. And so by the time we get to this movie, she's like, I know how to hotwire these things
and turn it back on.
Like, wow, all right. But regardless, sure. I don't care because I love this scene.
We let a lot of go with this movie.
Yeah. Well, we know everything that happens. He's just like, whatever.
Yeah.
You just have to roll with it.
Sure, yeah.
And that's where she finds out for sure an alien was on board.
Right.
That she's in a lot of trouble, which she suspected all along.
And I think it's around there that we start to see scenes of her being like checking her throat and being like, like all of a sudden she's tired and like, so I feel like it's around there where that starts to go in play more.
In the special edition and I don't think this is in the theatrical, they blend in, sorry if it was in both. At the funeral for Hicks and Newt, she starts getting a bloody nose. That's where it starts there. She's like, uh-oh. That's interesting.
Might be, yeah. It's hard to remember too. I think that's about right, but it is around there where stuff starts to happen.
Yeah, and I truly do love that the Bishop android, what's left of him, requests Ripley to just destroy him forever. He's just like, because his android ego can't deal with the fact that he'll never be top of the line again.
Well, it's also because he didn't want to be in this movie either, and did it as a favor.
Did he? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I didn't realize Lance Henriksen was so choosy with this stuff.
Yeah, he doesn't like this movie, I think he stated too. And didn't agree with certain choices, but he's like, yeah, I'll be in it, but like the whole Bishop thing, you can like, I don't like, that's when they decided to do it all animatronic. And then he of course pops up at that little bit at the end.
Right. Well, I guess my man was running off of a pumpkin head high or something. I don't know.
I guess. Yeah, I don't know. I think some people were really personable about, I mean, 2 was ginormously successful.
Yeah.
It made Fox a ton of money. And everything I heard too is Fox was almost just as bad for Aliens and for Alien.
For Alien? The original? Really?
Yeah, because at one point, apparently David Fincher and Ridley Scott got together.
Yeah.
And, like, it was like a drinking session. And, like, Ridley Scott was like, yeah, they did it to me, too.
What I would pay to have been there.
Right? Just a fly on the wall.
Absolutely. Just like the third drinking partner, just drink and listen to these two talk. Yeah.
Yeah.
My next favorite Ripley part... where once again she's like all at F's to give. She knows that the company is coming.
Yeah. It took me a while to notice, by the way, even though I've seen this movie a ton of times. Like, it took me a little bit to notice.
I had the same reaction this time. Like, the company owns the prison. I didn't realize that.
Well, you start to look. I just started by noticing the Wayland logo. Like I didn't notice at first, then I started to notice like on the not the I guess they're not technically guards anymore, but they're the ones that run the show or whatever, right? Because it's not exactly a prison planet anymore. It was, right? They just all decided
the caretakers,
to stay.
yeah,
right.
yeah.
But they have on their jackets it says Wayland on it.
Wayland Utoni.
Yeah.
I've watched this movie like half a dozen times or more, and yeah, this is the first time I noticed that this.
Yeah, I never picked up on that before. I thought they were just showing up or whatever at the end when they got messaged or whatever, and I was like, oh wow, look at that. Okay, there is the logo.
Yeah. Stupid me.
Yeah.
Anyway, I I love where she's like, she knows that the alien is down there and that the company is coming, and they only care about
she knows.
getting what they want. Same as part 2 and 1.
Yep.
And she's talking to 85, and she's like, I'm going.
Sorry,
I'm going down. I'm going down to the basement. And she's like, what? And he's like, it's a metaphor.
Yeah.
But the way she delivers all this stuff is just like, oh man. She's ready to die. She wants to die so bad, but she already kind of knows. She's like, it's not happening.
Well, at one point, right, she even goes like, basically, the hell with this. And she's just, I'm going to grab a pipe off the wall and go for it or whatever.
Yeah, well, this is what happens immediately afterwards.
Yeah. Which, by the way, sorry, I have to do more interesting stuff, even though it was in that other episode I did. That scene wasn't supposed to happen at all. This is when the producers officially came, Fox execs came on to set. Because they eventually jumped in and was like, they were financially being like, are you spending too much money? Do we need this or that? And it was that scene that were like, yeah, we're not doing that scene. We need to save money because it was so over budget and overshot or whatever. So they're like, nope, we're not doing that scene. And Fincher basically grabbed Sigourney Weaver with a camera and ran down and shot it.
This is a different scene from what I read.
Oh, okay. I thought it was that scene, but anyway.
No, I believe it's the most iconic scene from this movie is after Clemens is killed.
Oh, where it goes to her face. Okay, so I have that as a different scene, but okay.
I have it. That's what I read today, but
okay.
I've been imbibing.
Fair enough.
I could be wrong, but I'm 90% sure it is that scene where like the alien goes all up in her face. Like, yeah, we're not doing that.
Which is the
and
iconic shot of this
exactly.
movie.
Yeah. One of the most iconic shots of the entire franchise.
Even though this movie gets shunned sometimes, I think
this little scene gets repeated like at least 5 more times.
It will always show up. Yeah, totally.
But like they keep on using it in the new ones.
Yeah,
it's like we're just doing this again.
Because it is such a great shot. It is phenomenal. And again, Sigourney Weaver.
But I love the scene you're describing where she's basically having a breakdown. Like I'm done.
Yeah.
And she's going to like try to kill the alien with a pipe.
Yeah. And at least that was what I read, and I was under the impression that was the scene that they
I love that scene.
Yeah.
And yeah, when she like hits the pipe, she hits another pipe, it has a bunch of like lice in it or something.
Yeah, they keep coming back, by the way. Those things pop up throughout the movie, which I found so fascinating. I never noticed in this movie.
That's why you got to shave your noggin.
Yeah, or at least
it's a lot of lice.
Not this movie, this time of rewatching, I'm like, man, I keep noticing it throughout. I never noticed it.
Yeah. And then you see like the alien is behind her because this alien always comes from above.
Always. Although, to be fair, actually, its first kill was from below.
It's true.
Yeah.
It's true. My favorite next year. My next favorite Ripley moment is when she just grabs the effer's tail.
Oh yeah.
A move that has never been done in an Alien movie before, and may probably happen in an Alien versus Predator movie. I don't count those. It hasn't happened one since.
Well,
just like
in
grab
Alien
the alien
Resurrection,
tail.
doesn't she just go up and like straight up fist fight an alien once or twice? Like, cause she's like a superhero in that one.
It's Tim. It's the one I've watched the least.
Fair enough.
So
I think same.
I don't
actually. To be honest.
You could tell me a lot of things happen in Alien Resurrection, and I'd be like, "Well, that doesn't sound right." I guess you're right. I don't remember a tap dancing scene in Alien Resurrection, but all right.
Oddly enough, it had a run on HBO or something.
Certainly did.
And like I felt like I never saw the entirety of that movie more than once, but I saw bits of that movie, like the same bits over and over and over again.
The basketball scene?
Yes, the basketball scene I saw a ton.
Yeah.
And I feel like the end. I saw the end of that movie a lot.
Where like Brad Dourif is like caressing the alien.
Yeah, and it's like this weird new mixture alien thing that it
the
was like
human
mama
alien hybrid
to her and everything. It's like, oh dear Lord.
It's almost unbelievable that it took like that long to get Brad Dourif into an alien movie, but there he is.
Yeah,
this guy was born to be in one. It's so weird.
And it was like
this
the
one.
closest we got in the franchise of getting to Earth was like the end of that movie, which is what they teased in the trailer for this movie.
Anyway, move things along.
Yeah.
The last thing I'd like to talk about is the ending.
Yeah.
Ripley's ending. So Ripley, in the theatrical version, she's killed the alien. She's cornered then by the company who are trying to convince her that they will. Oh yeah, come with us. We'll take the alien out of you and you'll be fine. You'll have a future. You'll have a child. And she's like, yeah, you guys are liars. And she jumps off a landing into a furnace to her death with an alien bursting outside of her. And she grabs that effer and keeps it with her, and they both fall to their deaths. Great ending. Awesome, bleak, perfect ending.
It is great and also kind of insane at the same time that this thing's burst out of her and somehow she's still able to hold on to it and die.
I think it's a great like strength of a character death, and
Sure.
I love it.
It is good, yeah.
And the special edition is different.
Well, I heard that was the original ending, but then they reshot it because of Terminator 2.
Weird.
Yeah, and they were worried and the studio was panicking that it was way too similar to Terminator 2. So they did a whole reshoot of it, and then they ended up keeping the original ending anyway.
Oh, well, then they made the right choice, because that one's way better. The one that was in the special edition assembly cut, she just basically tells the company, you people are crazy, and she does like backflip, swan dive or whatever into the fire pit by herself, and that's it. She just slightly burns into flames and then gone.
Oh wow, the alien doesn't pop out or anything, huh?
Nothing. Like, well, that sucks. That's less heroic.
I mean, yeah, as much as it is kind of nuts, she's able to still hold on to it and all that kind of stuff. It definitely adds, yeah, you're right, the strength of character, as you said. Like, it definitely adds to that.
It's a great ending for that character. Yeah. It's a shame they decided to make a fourth one.
Yeah, because somehow her genes survived molten whatever.
Let's not get into it.
It's the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
Let's not do it.
Doesn't she have acid blood in the fourth one?
I don't remember, man. See, this is you can tell me.
I want to keep bumming you out.
Don't do it. Hulu tried to recommend I watch Alien Resurrection. Like,
no.
Nice trick. I'm not falling for that. You know what the problem is? They made that movie in the same decade that this movie came out. They had to wait until 2000s before he made a fourth Alien movie. They effed up. 70s, 80s, 90s. They should never have waited. They should have waited another decade.
You're right. You're right.
All right. Do you have anything else to say about Ripley?
I don't know. I guess I don't know because it's kind of the only other thing to really talk about is her and Charles dance together, and I don't know if you got to save that for sidekick or not. Because like there was an interesting relationship between the two of them, that they had this affection but somewhat distrust for each other, but then they still end up fornicating. Although I want to know if she has sex with him only to shut him up.
Good question.
My thinking that was it. Because it almost comes out of nowhere. But other than that, that's about it. That's the only other thought I had.
I think she's completely honest in that moment. Like, you know, I just like to get laid right now.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Anyway, Yeah, I'd like to save a lot of that for dance.
Fair enough. That's why I was like, I'm not sure if you wanted to save that for that.
And it's tough because this is the third movie in the franchise, so
Right.
there's baggage here. So I have curved my score, probably, and I can't judge this based on this one movie entirely. I can't do it. I'm only human. So I gave Ripley a 4.
I did too.
My brother.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah.
I did. Yeah, there. I felt it's not her. I even though there's some great stuff, like if these are not
Phenomenal
her,
stuff, yeah.
Yeah, it's not though. It's still doesn't.
It's not 1 or 2.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It comes under 1 and 2. It's still not as iconic as what she does in those movies. I felt like there was some slight weird choices, not to her fault, but just writing choices that I thought were weird a couple of times. So anyway, yeah, I thought 4 was the right choice. Still a great iconic character. One of the best female characters like ever in action sci-fi horror, like for sure.
100%.
Yeah.
All right, villain.
I don't have a lot here because I think so much of it is rolled into action.
Yeah, it's a xenomorph.
Right, it's a xenomorph. Like what? It's more dog-like, which is interesting.
It's an iconic villain.
It's different.
It's just the design is slightly different,
Right.
and unfortunately a little more CGI heavy.
Yeah, that's the biggest problem with it.
Agreed.
Yeah.
I don't know why they decided to use as much CGI as they did in this movie.
It's upsetting because it's like every time they do practical, fantastic. It looks great.
Looks amazing.
Looks
Yeah.
awesome. And then when you have those CGI shots, it's like almost like one of those like you're wincing cringe. Just like, oh. Like,
and let me tell you, in the assembly cut, special edition, they have so much more of it, and you're like, no, less is better. Less is better. Don't do this.
See, and it's weird when I read up on it. I heard like, oh, they updated and improved the special effects. So I was like, oh, maybe they made it look better. And now you're making me like, oh no, they just added more worse.
God help me, they may have, man.
Oh no,
it is not great looking.
That's not good.
It looks like they just like. I don't know. It looks like it was green screen thrown on to like it's not on stage where it just looks weird. It looks so weird.
I don't like that sounding of that at all, and it's the worst part of the ending part, which otherwise is so much fun and great. And the thing that sucks me out of it is the CGI shots. It's just it's rough.
Really, just the one scene in the ending, which like. Where the CGI is like egregiously bad, but yeah, it's not great.
Most of it is in all the CGI of the alien is in that ending. Most of it is not CGI'd.
There's a lot more in the special edition, and it's not great.
You're definitely convincing me more that I don't want to see this version.
You're convincing me more that I want you to watch this so you can agree with me.
No.
So what'd you give the xenomorph in this one?
I gave it a 3.
Interesting. I gave it a 2.5.
Oh wow, you went lower. Okay.
Yeah.
We'll see kind of where we go.
Yeah, of course.
In the end there, but yeah, I mean, I thought it was cool the slight change, it being more dog and animal like. I liked that.
Yeah, I'm sure. I forget where I put this somewhere in my notes, but in the special edition, it's not a dog that he goes into.
Really?
Yeah, the dog's not in the movie at all.
Well, one of my thoughts were, how the hell did the dog get here?
I was thinking the same thing.
It is a weird moment. Like,
poor Spike the dog doesn't like. Why would they let a prisoner have a dog on a prison planet?
Did the dog come in later after it was no longer technically a prison planet? Maybe.
But at the same time, I'm happy there's a dog in a movie, even though the dog dies. I'm like, there's a dog. Yay, it's a dog. It's a cute dog. In the original assembly cut or whatever, there is a team of oxen that the prisoners have that they use to like drag stuff around that they need to move or whatever. Right. And if they ever die, they eat them. So this one just drops dead, and that because the facehugger got it. You never see the facehugger get it, but it got it somewhere. And actually, it's funny. They bring the corpse in like, yeah, this one just keeled over. I was like, How old is it? It was like 11. Weird. It's in his prime. I don't know. It just happened. So like, we'll cut it up later. Let's just go and get our dinner now, or something like that. And then one of the guys leaves. The other guy is like, "Hey, what's this?" And he holds up like a dead face hugger. It's like, and that's the end of the scene. Like, all right. And then you get the intercut scene of the Dylan giving the eulogy for Hicks and Newt, and the facehugger popping out of the ox, just like it does in the dog in the theatrical version.
Okay, so as much as it does sound weird to me, I guess oxen being there to help them move stuff does make a little bit more sense than a prisoner having a random dog, so I'll give it that. It's still an animal-like xenomorph, I guess.
Yeah.
Either or. So, I don't know. It was interesting. That's why I went 3. But yeah, I don't have a whole lot of notes here. I feel like some of my notes, too, is just the Wayland Corporation. Right? You have these like guys that pop up in the end, and they're all very business-like, and they're like sunglasses on this darkened planet. And then, of course, you have the guy who Bishop is based off of, or whatever.
Which in the special edition, we find out for sure not actually an android.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, 85 sneaks up behind him, just like he does in the theatrical version, knocks him over the head with a wrench, and he's bleeding, but he shouts, "I'm not an android," and you see like red blood popping out of him and everything. It's like, oh, it's true. He's not.
I never questioned it, because he does have the line, like, I'm the guy who designed him, or whatever. And it's like, okay.
I never thought about it either, but now that after I watched it and I read that stuff, I'm like, I kind of liked the idea of is he an android, is he not an android, being buried in a special edition. It's a nice tip of the hat to Ridley Scott and his nonsense Blade Runner cuts.
Oh, dear Lord. You don't want to see some origami, Patrick? Because the origami tells a lot in Blade Runner. You sound like Sideshow Bob right now.
Yeah. I'm gonna go step on some brakes. I'd rather step on some brakes and watch Blade Runner again.
So anyway, 2.5 for you, 3 for me. All right, action.
Go.
All right, so there's not a lot at first, right? You do get like the chaoticness of the pod, the escape pod, and all that kind of stuff. It seems like that the facehugger does a lot of damage in this pod. Like this one little facehugger really messes stuff up in there really quick.
Well, I think the crash helps too.
Sure. But I mean, you see what's going on in that thing before it crashes. Like it doesn't look good in that pod. But anyway, so that's like the first little bit you get. And you get some of the crash effects, which is kind of like, all right, whatever. It kind of looks of the time. It's fine. Whatever. But that's like the first little bit of action kind of you get.
I guess. I don't even know why we're talking about this. The first thing I wrote down was Murphy.
It takes a while.
In the tunnels.
Yeah, it takes a while.
Yeah, our man Murphy, who's singing some kind of song.
Yeah.
Not sure how to classify it.
At one point, by the way, I had to turn the subtitles on, because there are some moments where like it's like, are they freaking whispering to each other? Like especially in some of the Weaver Charles Dance conversations, it's the volume is way freaking low.
Interesting. I had no issues whatsoever watching the theatrical cut, but I did have to turn them on for the assembly cut.
Interesting. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, like for instance, that scene where he's like taking her for a tour through the planet, and she sees the EEV being lowered down and everything like that.
Yeah.
In the assembly cut, there's a lot of loud noise because like the air to the door to the surface world is open, so like there's a lot of wind and stuff, and it's loud.
Yeah.
In the theatrical cut, there's like nothing. It's just coming down and it's quiet. You can hear everything they're saying.
Right.
That's nicer, and I didn't have to wear this. That's why I put
It's
subtitles up.
quieter, but
Didn't have to do it for this one.
I mean,
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't remember a whole lot of noise, but I do remember their dialogue is so quiet. It's so low. But yeah, you're right.
Anyway.
It's when the dog stuff is where you start to get something. And also interesting tidbit is that they actually went to a butcher shop and got real animal parts to do that scene
For Murph's body?
for the
Or
dog.
for the dog. Oh.
For the dog. So they actually used real animal body parts to do all that, and it looks pretty gnarly when it pops up.
All of them look
Yeah.
really gnarly in this movie when people get chopped up. It's great.
And so apparently real animal parts being used and such, and the crew was not a fan, and it made people throw up. And the smell
fair.
was rough.
I was about to say, the smell is not good with real animal parts.
But man, does it make it look pretty awesome. Like,
Yeah,
it looks really gnarly.
It's messed up.
Yeah.
But yeah, later on, our man Murph is scrubbing a tunnel,
Yeah.
and he picks up the xenomorph's old skin. He's
Yeah.
like, ew. And then all of a sudden he notices a hole. He's like, hey, Spike, is that you?
Yeah, my note is like, dude, that's not your dog.
Yeah. Which, excuse me, if you have the subtitles on, the subtitles for that scene is still there, even though Spike's not in the movie. It's really funny.
That's funny.
So yeah, he sticks his head into this little hole that he sees, and there's the alien, spits up the acid, and my dude falls into a fan. He's like, oh no!
He's rolling around.
Acid in my face, falls down, and goes into a spinning fan, which doesn't really seem to be going fast enough to chop up body quite like it does, but boy, is it awesome to look at the way that body chops up.
I mean, you don't necessarily, you just see like parts going everywhere.
Yeah, an explosion of parts.
Yeah.
And I love it.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. You get a good
Bravo.
spray pattern later too when you go and revisit the death, which they just write off as an accident, right? Like, hey, people, it happens.
Well,
right?
there's a decline there, so it's reasonable, even though the fan was blowing, not sucking.
Yes, which I like that little line, right?
Yeah.
But yeah.
So as was mentioned before, Xenomorph loves the move of grabbing guys from the ceiling and ripping them apart.
Yeah.
He does it twice with two guys who are in the tunnels, like within like 2 minutes of each other.
Yeah. I got a little confused on one. Because there's a great one. Which, by the way, hold on. When the guy is cleaning after somebody
Murphy.
gets killed,
Murph.
right?
Yeah.
And he's looking up as he's trying to clean the surface because he knows the xenomorph keeps coming from above, and that's where the guy got killed.
Oh, that's way later. Yeah,
I know, but
yeah.
I had to bring it up since we're talking about the above stuff. So the guy's cleaning and he's just looking up as he's doing it is a great bit. It's a really funny scene.
There's some really fantastic humor in this movie that does not get enough credit.
It really does. We're going to talk about it more when we get to sidekicks, I feel.
Yeah.
But yeah, so there's one part that confused me because at one point, one of them gets sucked up from above, right? And there was like two other guys with them. And at first it almost looked like they were running away, but then it looked like they were chasing after something to help somebody. And so that scene I got confused. Like it didn't add up right to me.
All running through the tunnels in this movie is disorienting. So
I guess it's on purpose, right? Because it definitely disorients you.
It's a maze.
Yeah,
which is why they really can't trap the aliens. Like it's just a mess of tunnels and stuff.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's his move. That's his go-to move in this movie. Grab people from above.
Yeah.
The next one is when our man Clemens dies, and the xenomorph once again comes from above, and we kind of see it, and then he coming down and sneaking up behind Clemens all in slow motion and grabbing him through the curtain.
Yeah.
And so you could see it's there, but it's kind of obscured. It looks awesome. And then he grabs his head and does his little like second head punch through the skull, which looks great.
It's it almost seems inspired by Spielberg in that moment. You know what I mean? Like,
explain.
We're not gonna show you, Like you kind of see what's going on, but not type of deal. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's kind of just I was going with, which I think it was a great moment.
Yeah, no, it's really great. The next bit of action we have is right after Ripley sees the death of Clemens. She runs over to the mess hall where Warden Andrews is having a meeting with all the inmates, and she's like, she's running, and by the way, it takes so much longer in the special edition, and it fucking sucks. Really rips the energy out of the scene. Sorry for cursing.
No, you're
again. And she finally makes it to the mess hall, and she's like, "It's here! It's here!" And everyone's like, "What are you talking?" And then right at that second, boom! Xenomorph goes to his go-to move again, grabs Andrews by the head, and pulls him up to the ceiling, and you always see just blood
pouring out.
Yeah,
it's almost like a Kubrick in The Shining moment.
Yeah, and all the guys are like, you're just like throwing their chairs, like, what the hell is going on?
They all back up.
But they don't say anything. They're just like freaking out. Yeah. And then when it's gone and done, you just, the inmate Morris looks up, and is like, fuck! Such a hilarious, perfect response to that.
It's great. It is a great moment.
Oh, yeah. The action and comedy in it just...
I'm bummed. I really liked that Warden guy. Like, I wanted him a little bit longer. Oh, he's such a great a-hole. Like,
we'll talk about him later.
So I don't know. I was bummed, but I was like, that. It was a great moment. It's like back-to-back great deaths.
It really is. And I love it because the little like rubber ball that he's holding.
Yes, the rubber ball he's got the whole time drops down. Doesn't it drop down? Yeah.
Yeah, it's like a quick like 2-3 thuds. Like, dun, dun, dun. I can't imagine how many takes Fincher had to get the right amount of thuds for that thing.
That is a great one, yeah.
However many he did, it was perfect. And I love him for it.
Great. It's perfect.
So the next big one, and it is a big one, much bigger in the Special Assembly Cup, the Xenomorph strikes from above again. That's what he does. And he takes out an inmate who drops his torch, which lights these chemicals that they were scrubbing all over the tunnels.
Dude, I love explosions. This is a great scene for me.
This might be the biggest change in the movie.
Yeah.
From the two movies. Anyway, it lights the chemicals that they doused all the tunnels with and to trap the alien. And massive explosion, fire everywhere. Plan doesn't work in the theatrical. That's it. It's over. In the special edition, despite this screw-up happening, it still kind of works. So the plan was to make a bunch of explosions to force the alien to run into this toxic waste cave, whatever.
Right.
Which is like 6 feet thick. The alien can't get out of. It's impossible. In the special edition, the same explosion is happening, but Junior, the inmate played by Holt McElhaney, who was the leader of the guys who tried to rape Ripley at one point, just coaxes the alien to come chase him inside the tunnel. All right? And... so the alien goes in, and they trap the alien, and that's it. He's trapped. But our man Golik, who was the guy who survived one of the first encounters with the alien, and also with the two guys in the tunnel, and he was also survived the death of Clemens. So he thinks he's totally gone insane, thinks he's blessed, and he's calling the alien a dragon. And he just wants to see it again. He thinks he thinks him and Ripley are like Adam and Eve. They're blessed by this thing. And he starts knocking people. He knocks one guy out who has him under guard in the hospital wing, and he kills the other guard that was in front of the tunnel and lets the xenomorph out. Of course, he dies in there in the tunnel. We don't see it, or even hear it, but we just see him running out. Which, if you see the alien running in this movie, it's CGI and it sucks. In the theatrical cut, you just don't need any of this stuff.
No, but that is an interesting idea. I'll give it that.
It's not a bad idea.
I like
Fincher taking pot shots at religion. I don't mind it at all. They're not pot shots. They're good shots.
Yeah. No, I think it's fair. I think it's an interesting idea, but it doesn't sound like it was well executed.
No, the execution is fine, but the problem is that it kills the pace of the movie, and you want this thing to go.
That's true.
You know,
that's what this movie has going for it. And I'll say
it's lean and mean. That's why I love Alien 3.
It does take a bit. Like there is a a stint where it's like, all right, let's get going here. But when it goes, it goes. Like then you're smooth sailing. You know what I mean? But you have to get through that little hump of like after the crash, you're kind of like, all right, and then like once people start dying, especially around that scene of Clemens dying, and then the warden guy dying, that's when the movie's like, we're good, we're set for the rest. But that's a chunk of the movie that you kind of have to get through. Not to say there's not good parts, but I'm saying pace wise,
right,
it kicks it up a notch there.
The special edition really increases that part where you're talking about that is not that part.
Yeah.
Where it's everything before that. So we're like, we just got more of that. And like, I don't need more of that.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, my only hope was like maybe that section of the movie could be made better with some changes. So I was hoping it was, but it doesn't sound like it achieved that. So
it just makes it longer. Yeah. I didn't need it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the next great action sequence is their next plan is to lure the xenomorph into this the lead. What is it called? Sorry,
the refinery place, right? Yeah,
the lead works. Yeah. They're gonna trap this thing in tunnels and pour liquid hot molten lead onto it.
Yeah.
So they're all getting in place, getting ready to get this thing done, and they're going to use themselves as bait, which none of the guys are particularly thrilled with. Which
it's almost like it becomes like a baton race is the plan, almost.
Closing
doors, passing one off to the other, getting it trapped.
Hoping that closing the door will save them, which almost never, pretty much never happens.
Great comedic moment too was like when the guy, the plan starts with the door not closing.
Yeah,
which is a great moment. And he's like, it's a great acting moment. I guess it should be in sidekick, but he's like,
yeah,
it's great.
But this scene really kicks off. The plan really kicks off with one of the guys as they're trying to figure out where the alien is to get this thing going, discovering another guy being eaten by an unfortunate CGI alien. Yeah. And this is the worst bit of CGI in the whole movie. It just stinks.
I thought it was second worst, but yeah, it's pretty bad.
Really? What do you think was number one?
I thought number one was the ending part of that xenomorph. Where he's liquid hot metal. Yeah. Well, even before that, there's some quick bits of him trying to climb up after Ripley and such, and it looks terrible.
Oh no, I think it's so much worse without it. Anyway. The CGI is thankfully cut down massively from the special edition in the theatrical cut, and it looks...
It's amazing because it's like how much I like some of the stuff I hated the most of the movie that I saw, which was theatrical, is the CGI. So I can't imagine more of it. So it's really upsetting to hear.
Like a lot more.
Like, man, it could have been worse.
Same quality. But I love this whole chase scene. Screw you, Siskel and Ebert.
I enjoyed
we got Alien Vision POV with the fisheye lens, which is like not only racing on the ground but going up walls and ceilings and everything like that.
And it's intense, and like you don't know who's gonna live.
It's so fast.
And I love the little bits too, where it's like sometimes you're not in those chase sequences and you're waiting, the guy waiting for his turn, but you just hear like screams of people dying.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like it's a really nice, cool, like eerie effect.
My favorite bit in this is like my man Jude, who is like literally just about to get out of his tunnel and just explodes. Another explosion of human body parts bursting through the tunnel door.
Yeah,
as the alien just gets him
goes
before it.
Right through the glass. Because it all has these little glass windows to these doors.
No, not that part, but
yeah, but that's another one. It goes right through the glass window door thing.
Yeah, the doors don't do
Yeah.
Shit,
They
not
know.
really.
It's great.
He can still get you.
I mean, if we're gonna give anything to villain specifically to the Xenomorph 2, this is kind of where it gets a little bit more fun, where it's like clever girl type of stuff, where it's like it starts to learn and pick up on stuff, and it's not exactly doing what they want it to do. So that was kind of fun too. Added wrinkle to the chase stuff.
Yeah, at some point, one of the guys panic before they can get the alien in place, and that's when Ripley just like tries to coax the alien out of hiding to come and chase it and to be where it needs to be so it can get the molten lead onto it.
Yeah,
and it's not until Dylan like puts her into a chokehold to get her away from it because she's like grabbing the tail, and then the alien is interested because she's carrying the unborn queen.
Right.
And so he's like, well, you can't hurt her. I need her to, yeah.
Anyway. Great. I don't know if I'm jumping ahead on you here. I'm sorry. But how great is that scene, too, where Dylan just decides he's going to take on the alien a mano a mano?
No, that's the next part, man. That's exactly.
Love that part.
I mean, I actually had this in Sidekicks for his ending, but yeah, it's a fantastic, such a strong ending for this character, and it's great.
It's great. And it's good because at one hand they use steam and all that kind of stuff, so you don't get to see anything horrific like CGI wise. So much is left to your imagination, which I think is a good thing. Because we
like this character.
Yeah.
We like this character at this point, even though he is a murderer and rapist of women.
Right, but it's weird. Like there's so much vocal. It's like, man, how is he surviving this long?
Yeah, he's like telling them, like, pour it. He's like surviving past 2 seconds. Like,
yeah.
Really? But he's a strong man.
I guess you should be dead.
Yeah, well, when he's got acid for blood versus he's like, I don't know, throwing punches and holding the thing in place.
Yeah.
It's cool. And we're like...
It is. It's a fun moment.
So Ripley gets out because Charles S. Dutton, Dylan, sacrifices himself to force the alien to stay in place long enough. They pour the lead onto there, and it's not over.
It survives! Surprise!
The alien jumps out, and Morse yells to Ripley, it's steaming hot. If you pour cold water on it, it'll explode, which we see earlier with a bucket after the fires with the explosions in the tunnels.
Yeah.
One of the buckets has the same thing happen. After he pours the sprinklers after the fires, the bucket explodes. Like, to let you know, like, yeah, this is what happens.
It's amazing, though, how well Ripley knows her way around this place that she barely knows.
I think it's pure luck on her part. Like, she's
she
just going
figured
up to
out
get away
where
from
the sprinkler was. Like,
well, she looks up. He's like, it's like, you get the sprinkler. And he's like, what? And it's like, if you get the sprinkler, it'll explode. He's just spraying on. Like, oh, all right, it's right there.
I think you're giving it a little bit too much credit of, okay.
I'm more impressed by her upper arm strength because she's like
true.
Going up poles and stuff, like no help whatsoever. I'm like, wow.
Yeah. But you know what? It's weird. Like, as much as like I never like saw her like fight, man, she's always so believable in that stuff. Which is funny, like,
well, Sigourney Weaver's a tall woman, so it makes it all much easier. Yeah.
And apparently too, the main reason why there were no weapons is just because Sigourney Weaver is a gun regulation person, and she was done with guns. She didn't want guns to be in the next movie, and that's why that was written that way.
Badass, love that for her.
Right?
Unfortunately, I don't think she kept that in for the fourth movie, but
she was also, though, to rake her, I think she might have been part of the problem because she wanted the like original writers to be part of the writing process because she was worried. Was it Gilman and somebody who was also supposed to be the producer? So the producers had to write a little bit, but they were also trying to produce, so it was like difficult, I guess. And like she was concerned with some of the writing in the second one because she felt she got messed over because some things got cut that she was mad that got cut. And she was worried at times that they made her just look like a pissed off gym teacher. So it was, I think that probably added to some of the issues.
Well, this is also in a post Terminator 2 world. So, tough, strong women is just like what we'd like to see in movies at this time.
Yeah.
So, Ripley becoming even more of a badass at this point seems natural.
Sure. I mean, it's weird because how much more badass can you be than in 2? Right? I mean,
well, you remember her in the second one. She's scared and nervous about everything. In this one, she's like, I don't give a damn.
She's a seasoned vet.
Yeah. So what'd you give action?
All right. So I kind of now going over it with you, I feel bad giving it, but I gave it a 3.
That's what I gave it.
Oh, okay. Like I think it's mostly because like it did have that lull there and the CGI and that kind of stuff, but like otherwise there was a lot of fun there.
Yeah, no, I think it's right.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I did.
So sidekicks. We got some sidekicks.
Got a few.
Yeah, first one up, we got Dr. Clemens, played by Charles Dance, a.k.a. Tywin Lannister.
Hopefully you're going to help me because I did not pick up on everybody's name, and you seem a lot better with that.
I did, not everyone's name, but I did what I could. This, like we mentioned before, this movie does a great job of casting shifty or dead-eyed British character actors, and you're never sure who you can trust. Like one of the first things Clemens says when he to Ripley is he offers her a sedative, but he calls it a cocktail of his own mix.
Yes,
and he's like, "Can I trust this guy? That does not sound right. I've never heard a doctor say it to before."
It is very weird.
But I like Clemens.
Sure. I mean, it's kind of hard to dislike Charles Dance, though. I feel like it was appropriately casted because he brings like a warmth and fun, but at the same time, can I trust this person? Like it is a good casting, and it's sad to see him go.
Yeah, I think this is the only movie I can think of off the top of my head where he's not he's not a villain.
He's not a straight up
of
villain.
any kind.
Yeah.
It's weird.
You might be right. I'm trying to think. Like, do I know another one?
Not off the top of my head. I can't think of anything else.
I don't know his career well enough. Like, I remember when he did pop up in Thrones. I was like, oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh, it's the guy from Last Action Hero.
I can't believe you went Last Action Hero on me, but yeah. Actually, oddly enough, I think of the Golden Child first.
I want the knife.
Underrated.
Ones like that movie.
Underrated Eddie Murphy movie. Forgotten.
Yeah. My favorite Charles Dance line is where he's having a meeting with Andrews.
Yeah.
And Andrews is just being an absolute piece of crap to him. And he's like, I think it might be better if I left. I find you unpleasant to be around.
Yeah. And he delivers that so well, too.
Yeah, a million times better than I can.
Yeah, it's such a kiss off. It's great.
It's just like the most tremendously British way to say, like,
yeah,
I don't like you. Go away.
If anything is going to be a throughway or thread connection to his Game of Thrones character, it's that moment. Like, just so matter of the fact of British. Like, it's just good.
Yeah, my guy Clemens is a doctor. He used to be an inmate there. Apparently, he got drunk after. Well, he was still technically on duty even after 36 hours at the ER. Came back, prescribed the wrong medication, and killed 11 people. So went to jail. Yeah. After he was jail termed up, he decided to stay there because it's the only place he can get an actual job as a doctor.
Yeah. The only person I would actually employ.
And he is the only real friend to Ripley in the beginning of the movie.
Yeah, he kind of goes along with like all of her insane asks. Yeah. Just goes with it.
Yeah, it's like, cholera hasn't existed for 200 years. Do you want me to autopsy this child? It's like yeah. Like, all right.
And then when they like, oh my god, what are you doing? He uses the same cholera line on the warden guy. Yeah, which is funny. Like he kind of continues it on, type of deal. He's a funny, smart character. He knows that there's something up, and he's just waiting for her to tell him. And he was a lot of fun, and I think his death is really earned because you really do like it's.
You're bummed when he dies.
Yeah, it's a gut punch.
But he's really useful to her and helpful, and
he does useful things. Like she needs him to kind of figure things out and to get things done that she wants done. Like it's effective. Like he's good. He's a good sidekick.
And he gives her sex. How often does that happen for a sidekick?
Thank God he was able to get laid before he died, right?
Same for Ripley.
Yeah, true.
Anyway, second sidekick is Dylan, played by Charles S. Dutton.
How close is this to
Rudy?
Yeah.
I think Rudy is a couple years later.
Is that 94?
It's literally 1 year later, Rudy.
Is it 93?
You're 5 foot and nothing.
Man, he could deliver a line himself.
I don't know what happened to him. I really
know.
don't. Always a delight to see in a movie. The last thing I remember seeing him in was Secret Window.
Wow. I haven't seen that movie in a long time. Wow.
He's done other things since then, but it's the last time I remember seeing him in a theatrically released, wide release movie.
I swear, I feel like the two things I really know him from is Alien 3 and Rudy. And they're like back to back. I thought it was 94, so wow, it was a year off. Okay. So that is, I mean, and in both movies, he is amazing. He's so good the way he delivers. Like I can believe this man can command a room.
Just commands me, Rand. I don't
Yeah.
go wherever he says.
Like, I get it. I understand that he leads these people. And
Well,
how big is he? Do you think is he a big guy? I didn't get the vibe he was big.
okay, hold on a second. I have his IMDb up right here. He's 5'9".
5'9".
So he's of average height. You son of a bitch.
He's
I'm
my
also
height.
5'9".
He's my height.
He's my height. So, yeah, Charles S. Dutton is incredible in this movie. He has to give a bunch of speeches, and he just nails them all.
Yeah, every single one.
You're ready to, like, yeah, for God, let's go. I'm going to go fight this
Yeah.
8-foot alien that has acid for blood.
Even when he's like, he beats off his own men with a pipe or something when they're trying to rape her, and then he gives a speech, and it's like, yeah,
Well,
get him.
I love his line delivery, too, after he saves Ripley from the raping, and he's like, get out of here. Me and the brothers got to have a talk.
I love how the dude,
like-
too, that's about to rape Ripley, before he goes to try to rape, he puts his goggles on.
That's Holt McElhaney. That's Holt McElhaney, which, you know...
I know who you're talking about, yeah.
I'm sorry, I forget the name of the show. Mindhunter.
Mindhunter
On
on Netflix, yeah. Which he's great, fantastic on.
Yeah, I love that dude. Love him so much.
It's such a I think this is probably the first time I rewatched Alien 3 since like really knowing who he was too. You know what I mean?
Second for me. I caught him last time. I was like, oh my god, it's Holt McElhaney.
Yeah, because and rewatching it now, I'm like, oh my god, he's the dude
He's a
that rarely
child.
puts on his goggles to rape a girl.
He looks like a child in this movie in
looks
comparison to what he looks
super
like
young.
nowadays. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, he is the leader of all the inmates.
Done.
Spiritual leader. Yeah.
Yeah.
Dylan.
And they're a pseudo Christian type group, I guess.
Basically just waiting for God to take them because they know that they are sinners and deserve to die.
Yeah, and they all took a vow of celibacy. Which,
Right.
yeah. So there's no kind of conjugal anything going on with anybody, I guess. The impression
know
I
that.
get, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know. But they make that clear that they're celibate. So,
Yes, they do it very early on.
yeah.
But he's amazing.
He is.
I love Charles S. Dutton.
Every speech where he convinces all these men to die.
I mean, even the scene where Ripley tries to convince him to kill her.
Yeah.
She finds out that she is infected with an alien.
Right.
The alien queen. And he's like, screw you, not until after I kill that thing and stuff like that.
Yeah, you're going to
And
help
it's
me
like,
kill it first.
Yeah.
Then I'll kill you.
He's like, I got no problem with killing you. You just got to wait until after this thing's done.
It is great. It is great.
He's so good.
And again, when he goes to try to face the alien is great too.
It's such a sad death, yeah, but it's powerful and awesome at the same time.
I agree. Yeah.
Um,
What's the guy who lives? What's his name?
Morse.
Morse. Okay. that guy's got some really freaking funny one-liners.
He's really good in this movie.
Yeah, throughout the movie, if I remember correctly, he's the same one who's like cursing or something towards the beginning, and he get done.
Yeah.
Somebody yells at him for it.
He's the first inmate that speaks.
Yeah,
where he mentions everything. I took a vow of celibacy.
Yeah,
and everything like that. And the only one that survives in the very end of the movie. He's great. Danny Webb is the actor. He was in an episode of Sherlock, but he's a great British character actor from what I could tell.
He's funny.
And he's so good in this movie.
He delivers some great lines, and I love that line where he's like curses or what. I'm trying to remember the line where it's like, God doesn't care if I curse or something. I'm trying to remember what it was.
No, he's not in that scene. He's not in that scene. That's not him.
Oh, I thought that was him.
Those are the two guys in the tunnel that die, plus Golik.
Oh, now I feel bad.
And yeah. And the black guy is the one who was the bodyguard in Dorne in Game of Thrones.
Okay.
Carrying the axe around.
Wow, interesting. All right.
And he's the one who's just like, shit's not a curse against God, so it's fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Funny line. I like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, but Morris, yeah, he's a fun. But I'm at the same time, as much as I like him and it's fun, and I'm happy he's alive, but I'm also at the same time, why?
Well, he was the. I don't know, but he didn't try to rape Ripley, so I'm happy he did.
No,
at least
I know,
one of those guys didn't survive.
But why would Waylon keep him alive? Like, why? Sealed this stuff. They made a point, like, we're sealing this stuff up. This didn't happen, right?
Right at the end of the movie, they say like, we're selling everything else for scrap, and yeah. But
he lives. He walks out in cuffs.
Probably just debrief, and they probably did kill him. It's not like they.
Or they threw him away in some hole somewhere.
One of the two. Probably killed him. But yeah.
You know what would have been even, like, make a crappy movie somewhat better is if he was in Resurrection.
I thought about the same thing too.
Right?
I kind of love this character. I wish he had popped up in Resurrection.
What if
but I think
he
Resurrection
was an inmate there and sees a clone resurrected Ripley, and his reaction throughout that would have been so much better.
I think, if I remember, and God help me, and I will punch you in the face if you make me curious enough to do it.
Uh-oh.
If I rewatch Resurrection, I think it takes place like a decent time in the future past this movie.
That makes sense.
So his character would be definitely long gone.
Right.
But yeah, shout out to Morse, the only survivor.
Yeah.
I'd like to also shout out poor dumb 85. The assistant warden.
Yeah.
I guess.
It's such a childish joke on him that is played so well by all these characters, because it's such a weird, like, annoying character but loving affection type of thing towards 85 that it's enjoyable.
He's basically a puppy to Andrews, the warden in this movie. He's just repeating whatever he says, and
he's like a not as weird militant Dwight. Like it's from The Office. Yes, and all the inmates call him 85 behind his back and to his face, and Pete Postlethwaite, our dude, eventually reveals to Ripley, telling him, like, when he first came here, we got a peek at his file, and we found out his IQ was 85, so that's why we call him 85. And Ripley's just like, yeesh. And there's a scene where there's more stuff between Ripley and 85 in the special assembly cut. In the special? Okay.
Where, they basically, after, Andrew's dead, he kind of sticks to her real close, because that's what he does. He sticks
in
to
the theatrical, there's a little bit more too, especially like, hey, we should just stay put. They're coming, and all that kind of stuff.
Right. Well, there's a scene where she coaxes him into telling the company that they've trapped the alien. Yeah. And asking if, but we can exterminate, and asking for permission to exterminate. Yeah. And he's like, "What's the point? They'll tell us to exterminate. It's of course they're going to get rid of it." And she's like, "No, they won't." Yeah. And so they go through and they ask, and of course the company's like, "Nope, do not, do not do this."
I'm kind of glad that wasn't in the theatrical because it's not needed. If you're a fan of the series, you know.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. This is information we don't need. It's extended part, and then she keeps like, okay, now I want you to tell them that the whole place has become toxic, and that part is in the theatrical scene, so it's just extended.
It's already in. It's already in 2 with the Paul Reiser character and everything.
And 1 with the android saying the crew's expendable.
Yeah, it's like, why do we need to do it again?
Which Ripley mentions again in the movie with the situation that says we don't need it.
That the company itself was supposed to be a bigger part in the original kind of ideas for sequels. But I'm kind of glad that he didn't, because they kind of been hitting that over the head quite a lot.
Yeah, the evil of capitalism. Yeah. We got it.
We got it. We got that part.
Yeah. It's only that interesting. Yeah, so but 85 is harmless. Is the best way I can put him. See,
he's harmless, and he kind of somewhat has, I wouldn't say heroic, but he has some moral boundaries that he's,
Once he realized that Ripley was right about everything, he takes a wrench, and hits the Bishop Creator over the head.
Yeah.
And he calls him a damn android. And in the special edition, we see he screams like, "I'm not a damn android!" And all the guys shoot him. In this movie, they just shoot him anyway after he does it. And it's just funny that even while he's being sort of heroic and sacrificial to, because he knows it's going to happen.
Yeah.
He's still dumb about it. Like calling that guy an android. He's clearly not an android.
Yeah.
I love 85. He's adorable.
I agree.
Special shout out to the warden, who has the most nasally, annoying British voice known to man.
I thought he just played that part so well. Like, I don't know.
Oh, it's great.
It's great. He's like the only person that could have, I feel like, done that part. You know what I mean?
Special announcement from Numa Control. Oh no! Is he gonna do this voice the whole time?
I loved it. I don't know why I loved it. Like it just fit for me.
Perfect for the character.
Yes, exactly.
It's perfect for the character.
It just felt so right, and I wanted more of him, only because I felt like, and maybe that's more of a problem with the first part and section of the movie. Like, I felt like his death would have been so much better and so much more earned if we had more of him being an asshole, being him. Well, you know what I mean?
You get more of him in the special edition. He is there at the autopsy from the very beginning. They all go down together, and it's like, we don't need this. The only thing important is the after the fact.
Fair enough.
And that's all I got to say about the sidekicks. What'd you give the sidekicks, Tim?
I enjoyed them.
Yeah.
They were, as much as I did have trouble following the characters and names and all that kind of stuff, but they were still fun. They still helped a whole lot, progress plot forward. They were not annoying. They were funny. I gave them a 4.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, I really liked them.
I gave them a 3, but I'm good with the 4.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I have scored this movie higher than you.
You did a little bit, but I thought I was scoring this movie too high, and I'm okay with it.
I went
going
with
a little higher.
14 was my final score.
I went with 13.5 now.
Okay, so it's a half point lower than me. Okay.
Yeah.
So where do you want to go with that? Because right now I have it over Dead Alive. I mean, you do too. 13.5 is still over Dead Alive.
Do I really have it over at Dead Alive?
Yeah, we rated Dead Alive was 13 points.
Damn.
Yeah. So you have it over Dead
so
Alive.
I originally
by
had it
13.5.
So you originally had the Psychics as a point lower.
And right, and you had...
I had this at a 12.5, so I have this below Dead Alive.
You had Sidekicks like a half point lower than me.
No, a point lower than you. A full point.
What do you have it at a 3? I have it at a 4.
I did have it a 3, but I was willing to put it up to a 4. I was like, I like everything you said.
And then you put a different category higher than me too. I think
I have villain at 2.5.
2.5. Villain was lower. Yeah. So villain was lower and sidekick was lower, and that's where the point differential is.
Mm-mm.
Man, I'm kind of shocked, to be honest. Like, I thought I was going to be going too low at points for you. And then I ended up rating it higher than you, which is just interesting.
I like Alien 3 more than Dead Alive.
Very different movies. It's so hard.
They are, and
they're both in the horror genre, but such a different genre at the same time, right? You got horror comedy versus an actual horror movie, and one actually was achieving its goals the entire time, and one had a lot of adversity, and there's some stuff that's let go.
Okay, so my original score on Alien 3 was 12.5. And because you've pointed this out to me, the Dead Alive thing, I have to insist on separate scores. Only because I know you hate this. I'm sorry.
I can't stand this shit.
Deal with it. I'm sorry. Dead Alive is an important movie to me.
Dead Alive is a fantastic freaking
No, I know, but it's important to me. It is one of the two movies, because two movies got me into horror movie genre entirely.
Right.
And it's Dead Alive and Scream, and I can't put this movie above it. I can't do it. I love Dead Alive too much.
It's, and
I like this movie a lot, clearly.
I've seen Alien 3 so many more times than I've seen Dead Alive. Because
this movie has been more available.
That's true. It's a good point. I think this podcast is the second time I've ever revisited Dead Alive.
Me too.
Yeah, and
it only lived up to my memory.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good point. Same here.
Like, I'm waiting for Peter Jackson to give me that 4K. I will buy it.
It is so much fun.
I mean, I'm fine with you putting this over Dead Alive. I just can't do it. I can't do it. There will be movies I am undoubtedly sure that I will put above Dead Alive. Not this one. I can't do it.
Undoubtedly over.
Yeah. There's one in.
I can name one.
I'm almost sure that I'm going to put over it. I can name
one.
But
yeah, I don't know.
Probably two, but not this.
Two.
Not this one.
This is okay.
I've seen a lot more movies than you.
Oh no, totally. No, I get that part. Don't get me wrong.
Deal with the separate scores. Sorry.
I don't like it. I hate it.
I know you don't.
I really do.
I don't want you to go down on your score. Your score is your score.
Yeah, I mean, no, I know. Yeah, my score was a 14. Like, I just...
Okay, that's
I just think, like...
You're not going to convince me, so just leave it alone. And let's move on and find out what the next movie is.
I'm just... Okay, can I just put it out there? Let me put it out there. I got to justify it somehow, okay? If I'm gonna do it, because, again, this is difficult, because I really do love the hell out of Dead Alive, okay? So, one, as much as the hero was a lot of fun, there's no way in hell it's better than Ripley. Ripley is one of the greatest heroes ever, so there's no way in hell, okay? Villain. Xenomorph is freaking iconic. It's not exactly clear-cut in Dead Alive. Action, definitely better in Dead Alive, as much as there's some good stuff in Alien 3. Dead Alive is
Dead
better.
Alive is almost like that we did for what was it? God. The Junkman.
Junkman.
You
made that point last time.
We went above 5. We're going for a 6.
Yeah, it's a great point.
So
you can't get better than the action. As much as there's some good stuff, the action is just better in Dead Alive. It's just so much more fun.
It's another level. It's like, wow.
But again, I would say Sidekick is better in Alien 3 than Dead Alive. So,
all right.
So I'm just saying, like, if you're going on this scoring system, and we want to be honorable and truthful to the scoring system that we put in place, Alien 3 is better. His score is better. because it beats every component over Dead Alive. The only way Dead Alive beats it is action. Now, if you want to do an asterisk, because the action in horror is obviously the most important component to this genre, right? As most, then I get it. I get why you would put Dead Alive over it. But in the breakdown of scoring and how this system works, it makes more sense that Alien 3's score is higher because of the way the scoring system works.
Okay.
You're still not going to budge. I hate you.
No, okay. I'm not doing it. Deal with it.
I hate you.
I told you. This is.
All right.
I'm fine with you explaining yourself, but you're not going to win me over.
I hope audiences understand what I'm saying, and I don't like that I have to almost talk negatively of Dead Alive. I don't like what you're doing to me at all. It's very upsetting.
I'm just saying, if you put a finger gun to my head, I would have given Dead Alive an extra point for action, which would have put it on par with your score of Alien 3, and I would have still put Dead Alive above Alien 3.
So because
Dead Alive is just a personally important movie to me for horror movies, and I'm going to watch Dead Alive more if I have the opportunity to than Alien 3, and unfortunately, throughout my life, I had less opportunity to rewatch Dead Alive than I have Alien 3.
All right, so where am I putting your score? Your stupid score. I'm doing the 12.5. Is that what I'm doing?
Yeah, give it the 12.5.
I hate you so much. I'm doing it. I don't know why I'm doing it.
It's going to be very highly ranked by the end of the year. I can tell you.
No. Yeah, for sure. I kind of figured. So far, this is kind of what I figured stuff would go.
It's also the third best Alien movie, so
Yeah.
I don't
know if that's saying a whole lot, but yeah.
Yeah, well, yeah. I like the Ridley Scott prequels too.
Well, it's kind of weird. It's like if they're almost a separate thing.
Yeah, that's how I kind of feel.
Yeah, like it's a different. It's almost a different thing.
Yeah.
Although, I don't know. I know we're also defenders of those movies, so
we are.
So it's my pick.
I can't wait.
What
you got?
Okay, so
what you got for me this week?
All right, so I want to pick this movie that I'm about to pick. I'm just a little worried because it is something and it's kind of giving it away, but I have not seen the original. I'm picking The Gate 2.
You've never seen The Gate?
I know.
I have failed you.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Now, if I'm remembering correctly, I'm aware of stuff enough. This is the original is the one with Steven Dorff as like a kid, right?
Yeah. No, he's like 10 years old. I
know.
I feel like the worst Big Brother in the world right now.
I mean, who knows? It could be one of those things where I start to watch the movie and be like, I think I'm remembering pieces of this kind of thing.
And you know how usually you and I, like I'll watch the original or something like that, and you just watch sequel because you have less time in your hands.
Right.
Watch the original. Just as a treat to yourself. As a treat to yourself.
So we'll see.
You will be so happy.
We are supposed to do a little trip here, hurricane permitting, this weekend, so that could cause some issues. But we are getting a little bit ahead recording, so who knows? We might be able to make it work. So I will try. But
yeah, maybe this weekend at the beach, you and I will sneak away and watch the original The Gate. It's a really fun movie. I love The Gate.
I mean, I heard all good things.
I just rewatched it like a year ago, I think, and it still holds up.
Yeah, I feel like I've heard it talked about. I've seen so many screenshots of it. I'm curious to watch it. That if I might remember bits of it or something. I don't know, but yeah. I'm going with The Gate 2, and I think you have it listed as on Prime.
I've never seen The Gate 2, so I'm excited to watch it.
Well, yeah, I wanted to do something that neither of us have seen, because I don't know if we've picked a movie that neither of us have seen yet.
Yeah, Split Second.
Oh, yeah, that garbage. Forgot about that. That movie still pisses me off.
Well, it's just important to me that you watch the first Gate movie because I don't know what the quality is of the sequel.
Yeah.
And I don't want you to never watch the original because the original is really good.
Fair enough. I mean, it's as much as I don't want to go from bad to good to bad to good, but I'm a little bit worried that there's more bad than good in 92. So I'm like, all right, cool.
I'm not at all.
Yeah? Okay.
There's a lot of great stuff in here.
I'm curious to throw out Gate 2. Hey, if that makes me watch the original The Gate and watch some classic along with it, then I guess it's a positive, right? So, yeah. I pick The Gate. And yes, it is listed.
The Gate 2.
The Gate 2, sorry. Yeah, The Gate 2, and it is on Amazon Prime.
Trespassers.
I guess
There's a subtitle.
Oh, that's the subtitle of The Gate 2? Okay.
Yeah.
Totally. So much fun. There's other ones I almost went with, but we'll see.
Okay, well, we'll get to them eventually.
Yeah, right? Like, I'm definitely very curious to check out Hellraiser 3.
Yeah, Hell on Earth!
Yeah. But then there's other ones that I'm like, I really don't want to revisit Lawnmower Man.
Nor I.
I really don't want to go back to that movie. I want to remember Pierce as he is on my wall, right next to me.
Tim is pointing to a GoldenEye poster when he's saying this. Don't do it. All right.
Yep. And on that note, that is it for us. Please show your support for the podcast by leaving a review on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Play Music, wherever you happen to listen to the show. Also, sharing is caring. Be sure to follow us on social media to get the latest show updates. You can contact us by emailing at filmbrochamp@gmail.com or find us by searching for #FilmBroChamp. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Film Bros Championship Podcast. Peace out, everyone.
The bitch.